I'm Bradley Wright, your high school principal here at Genoa Central High School.
And I'm Courtney Morton, high school counselor.
We've also got Miss Lisa Posey here, our technology specialist here helping us today. Miss Susan Adams' part will be later on in the presentation. And our resource officer is Mr. Casey Winchell. Our secretary is Michelle Anderson. Some important numbers to kind of look at here are our telephone number, which is 870-653-7521. Our fax number is 870-653-6967. Our nurse's number is 870-653-7532. And our website is dragons1.k12.ar.us. Miss Adams is not here with us today, and she has allowed me to cover her portion of the presentation. We have district news and alerts, and then we also have emergency alerts. And to get signed up with both of them, next slide, please. She's asked for me to just pretty much share at the very bottom where it's her email address. If you would email her at susana@dragons.k12.ar.us, and she can get you signed up for those alerts, and also for Home Access Center, which is what we use for you to see your students' grades every single night. It's open 24/7. Also, she is part of the parent family engagement, and she will be sending out surveys. So if you see her name on something, please fill those out and get them back to her as soon as possible.
So I'm just going to go over kind of a quick overview of what everything academically speaking looks like standing from the high school campus. We're going to go over the required courses, what your transcript looks like, GPA, ACT, and SAT, college and career fair possibly, outside counseling services, and then some awareness talks. So the very first thing that I included was the required courses for Genoa Central High School. Obviously, you have to have what we call a 4-core block in math and English, so you'll have 4 straight years of math and English in some sort of variety, which I'll explain that in a little bit. You have to have 3 years of a history and 3 years of a, goodness, my mind just went, of a science. So, and those look a little bit different. I'll talk about an advanced track and a regular track in just a few slides over. In addition to the core classes, you also are required to have a health, a PE, an oral comm, and an art of some sort, and band does count as an art. The health class is online. It's through Virtual Arkansas. The state of Arkansas does require that students have at least 1 virtual class before they can graduate, and that is what we service all of our students with to ensure that we meet those state standards. In addition to the core subjects that you have, you also have to have 6 elective courses. Athletics does not count as an elective course, but other than that, any other course that we offer on our high school campus will get you those credits that you need for college and career readiness standards. So all in all, as a high school graduate at Genoa Central High School, you will be required to have 22 credits before you get to walk. Just kind of an overview of what a transcript looks like. Anytime that I talk to students usually about a transcript, those first couple of years in high school, they're like, well, Miss Morton, really, what is that? What does that look like? And so I always like to have those 9th grade conversations early on about what kind of student do you want to see, because your high school transcript will follow you wherever you go, whether it's college and career, whether you're going to get a job. Everybody is going to call and request that transcript on you. And right now, you guys as 9th graders, as freshmen at Genoa Central High School, have a clean slate unless you've already taken physical science or Algebra 1 at the middle school. You're going to start fresh. So we encourage you to start this year and know that your GPA matters. Every class matters. And there's a huge difference in GPA between an A to a B to a C to a D, and a D to an F. So when you're looking at GPA, obviously when you go to apply for colleges, they're going to look and make sure that you have, at most community colleges, you're going to be required to have a 2.0 GPA. At some of your 4-year universities now that are more competitive, you're going to be required to have upwards of a 2.5 to a 3.0. And that means if you don't have that GPA, you don't get in. There is no rhyme or reason to that. It is so competitive that if you don't have it, that is their first no. You are putting a no stack and they don't turn their back and look. So in order to maintain a 2.0, that is what you consider a C average across the board. To have a 2.5, you're going to have to sprinkle in some B's and some C's, maybe with a couple of A's, and a 3 is a B average. So you know that if you're going to be a college-bound kid, you've got to really focus on that GPA and get as high as you can get. So with that, I wanted to share with you guys what an actual transcript from Genoa Central High School will look like. I've got 2 transcripts. One student, you can tell, is he didn't take his grade seriously. He or she didn't take his grade seriously. And that was a reflection. And this student is, he's going to have some trouble getting into some colleges because he's got that D's, C's, and a couple of F's sprinkled in there with some of his classes, especially those freshman and sophomore classes. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had students come back to me and say, Ms. Morton, if there's anything that you can tell those freshmen when they come in as freshmen at Genoa Central High School, tell them this. And it's that your GPA matters and it will affect you. And that C or D that you got in Spanish 1 as a freshman, it's going to hurt you overall. And it's going to take 3 or 4 A's to pull up 1 F as far as GPA standards go. So when you're figuring out GPA, it works as an A is 4 points, a B is 3 points, a C is 2 points, a D is 1 point, and an F is 0. So how you figure your GPA yearly is you take all your core classes that count for GPA purposes, so everything except athletics, and you say, okay, an A, you get 4 points, so you write 4 points down. If you have a B, it's 3 points, and at the end, you take all of the points that you've earned by your grades, you add them together and divide by how many courses you have that count. And that's where you get your overall GPA. So you can tell very quickly that your GPA is affected by either a high A average or lower. So you want to maintain that high GPA. Looking at the other student who is in, she or he is obviously in the top 5. She has a 4.0 GPA and a weighted GPA of being even higher than that. And so you know automatically, if I were hiring you or if I were on a college acceptance board, my question is, what student are you going to pick? Obviously, I'm going with the one who took the initiative to take care of her business or his business inside the realm of that classroom. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of what your transcript looks like. Okay, so again, I know we talked about what classes were required, and one of the other questions that I always get is, okay, well, if my child wants to be advanced, what courses do they need to take? And so I've kind of outlined it here. On the advanced track, most of our advanced track in at least English and math speaking starts at the middle school. As 8th graders, you are eligible to take physical science and Algebra 1. However, if you are not able to get into those classes at the middle school, we do not fault you for that at the high school. However, in your 9th grade year, we do not offer an advanced math or an advanced science to those students who have not had Algebra 1 or physical science already. You will be able to pick up your pre-AP classes as long as they're room that 10th grade year, but know that you will not have English and math as a pre-advanced placement class, which is considered advanced. If you had that, you're going to start in the 9th grade in English 9 pre-AP, Geometry pre-AP, World History pre-AP, and then Biology pre-AP. I also like to include and go ahead and get out of the way that PE and health if we can the next year or in the freshman year, because that frees up your other years a little bit more. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. So if you're looking at your schedule right now that you have and you are not in PE and health, it is not the end of the world. That does not have to happen in that freshman year. Sometimes scheduling just doesn't allow for those classes. In the 10th grade, you can kind of see what your next classes are all the way through. So ultimately, you could graduate from Genoa Central High School with approximately 21 concurrent credit hours, which is service through our UAHT. We have a memorandum of understanding with them to where you guys can earn credits through them, but also get high school credits. And so you can ultimately have 21 to 24 hours of college. And if you were to take some AP courses, in your junior and senior years, and you made a 3 or above, you're going to get additional college credit for those courses. On the other side, if you're just a regular student, you're going to take your 4 core classes that are just regular gen ed classes in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. In order to get into the concurrent classes, you have to have taken your ACT. You have to have a composite 19 in English, math, and the reading section, or you can't get into those classes. So that's always something I like to kind of let you guys know early. The ACT is what drives your scholarship money. The more times you take it, generally, the better your score is. Okay, talking about the ACT. There are some dates that are still to be determined. Obviously, they're having a hard time finding enough high schools to service all the kids who need to take the ACT test, because we have to remain socially distant, and that cuts down on some of the numbers of kids that we can test. We are right now still being a testing center in October, like we've always done. So if you are interested in taking the ACT and you want to take it at your home campus, then you need to go ahead and get registered for that October test date. I have included the test dates and the registration deadlines. If you need any help with that, or you need me to help walk you through that process, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll help any way that I can. All right, another topic that we were not able to do last year because we were going to do it around the time that we shut down for COVID-19. I would like to go back and do the college and career fair again this year. There's a lot of topics that we covered in that day. We had a lot of experts in a lot of areas here, and every student that was a part of that day just raved about how good it was. And so that's something that I hope to be able to bring back this year. Obviously, that's a goal of mine, but that will still, details will come forward as we get closer to those days, hopefully in February. The last thing that I want to talk about is mental health and counseling. We have a brand new program that we're going to introduce to our students this year, and it is called Integrity Telehealth. This is something that we've just recently been made aware of, and it is actually a virtual mental health facility, and our students would be in a personal, private setting where no one would be aware of what's going on, but they would be able to have a counseling session with a certified therapist via a telecommunicator or a teleprompter. That's something that we've not ever really been successful at, is to have a consistent basis for our students who need that mental health or individual counseling. And so I'm really excited to be able to offer that to our kids. I think it's going to be a huge help for our children who do need those services. If you require medication for any purpose in that realm, then they have those doctors to be able to prescribe that medication to you. We will be getting more information out as soon as it is available to us. So just know that that information is coming. We're still building on that. I will be the point of contact for that. So if this is something that you are interested in your student receiving, if you'll please either send me an email or give me a call, I'll make sure that when our portal is ready to go, that you are one of the very first ones that are contacted. The other topic is the monthly awareness talks from the counselor, and I've included some of those topics. Some of those are hard topics to follow and to talk about, but it's also to build awareness in our students.
We have some changes that are coming up. I just want to make sure that everybody was clear on this with COVID the way it is, so that everybody's on the same page. One big change that we have is that now if you have a fever, it's 48 hours and not 24 hours. We will also be accepting students at 7:30, where our doors will open for our students. If a student arrives before 7:30, they'll be outside. And then once 7:30 hits, we will let those students indoors. Breakfast will be starting to be served at 7:30. If a student chooses to have breakfast, then they will go to the lunchroom. But if they choose not to have breakfast, they will go straight to their classroom after 7:30. So once again, a student that arrives after 7:30 will go straight to the classroom unless they're having breakfast that morning. A couple other things that will be happening that are kind of new. We will have temperature being taken. Anything over 100.4 will take you to the next level, which will be to the nurse. And then the nurse will check to see if the temperature is over 100.4 or at 100.4, in which then they will go home. Masks are required, just like you're seeing me right now. We will have masks on at all times unless you're able to be socially distanced, which will be at least 6 feet apart from each other. Visitors will not be allowed to eat with their students, or friends won't be able to come in and eat with their friends at lunch. Right now, if you needed to drop something off, you'll drop it off for your student, and it will not be for them to share with anybody else. Those are some of the big changes. Also, I wanted to include our Genoa Central High School bell schedule so that will let you know exactly where your student is at all times. Lunch is there 10:46 to 11:16 is first lunch, and second lunch is 11:46 to 12:16. Those are usually the important times that we're asked about. It will be based off of their fourth period teacher. So on the first day of school, they will be informed of their fourth period teacher's lunch. And so that's how they'll know what lunch to go to. Just wanted to touch on my philosophy. One of my biggest things that I like to say is no child cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Here at Genoa Central, we have a staff that does care. We have a lot of different things going on that, sometimes get a little chaotic, but our staff knows that we're here for the students, and that's what really matters. Treat everyone as fair as possible. This is one thing that we've always strived to do, and sometimes there might be some disagreements. Just please give us a call if you have any questions about anything that's going on. And then my last one that I really live by is the decisions you make today affect the quality of your life tomorrow. That just means that if you're making good decisions, eventually good things will happen. So keep on making great decisions and wait for the good things to start happening. Next, chain of command. I'm really big on this. If there's something that's going on, don't hesitate to reach out, but just make sure that you've given the parties before me, or even if your child comes home and says something's going on, try to get the full story from them first, and then, call and ask the staff members. And then I don't mind dealing with anything, but just make sure that you've gone through those proper channels first. And then my email is listed there, bradley.wright@dragons.k12.ar.us. I'm not a big email person, so just remember that whenever you send me an email. I'm not going to send you 3 or 4 paragraphs back. I will answer the questions as quickly as possible. Now, in a phone conversation, I'll talk a little bit longer, but email, it'll be pretty short and sweet, and just remember that. I'm huge on giving calls back and emails. If you send me an email or you call me, it is my job to give you a call back. I strongly believe that, and I'll do everything in my power to give you a call back. But with that being said, you've got to give me time to make sure that I know all the facts of what's going on, and I will always do what's in the best interest of the students. So once again, just make sure that we have plenty of communication there, and give me enough time to figure out what's going on in that situation. Attendance is a huge factor here at Genoa Central High School. Students will lose credit based off of attendance. So this is very, very important for y'all to listen to this part of it. So at 4 absences, you can see on the screen where we start intervening, and we'll send a letter home. On the 5th one, we'll have Miss Tanya Whitehead reaching out to the student. On the 6th one, we'll have Miss Eliza Honeycutt coming to your house to make a visit, just to kind of give you the importance of that student being in school. On the 7th one, the counselor, Miss Morton, that was just previously talking, will be giving the student a talking to, and usually we'll start calling the parents at this time, if not before. And then I am the 8th one, and then on the 9th one, the student will lose credit for that semester. So that is very important to know, that that student needs to be at school. All right, students arriving, we've already kind of touched on this. We're going to have a picture here in just a second. And when that picture pops up, you'll see that you'll see where the students are supposed to arrive and where they're supposed to go around. But right now, we will have those students going to their classrooms. If for some reason things change, that's when we'll start using the cafeteria, the lobby of the cafeteria, and outside the cafeteria for these students. So right there is the picture that I was talking about. If you look on the far left of the screen, you'll see Purifoy is there and 196. Whenever you're taking a right before you go to Purifoy's, you'll take that first left, and then that will take you into the parking lot to drop off your student. If your student is a bus driver, they will pass the entrance that I just talked about, the exit that I have not mentioned yet, and then they will drive all the way around to where all those cars are parked up by the ninth grade, the lower building. And that's where the buses will come through, is where that ninth grade in between the two sets of cars, between the ninth grade building and then also the road. So that's where the buses will be, where the cursor is. The people pulling in will pull in right through there, and then they'll make the U all the way around, and usually they'll drop off right where that bus is in that picture, where the cursor is right now. That's usually where most people will drop off in the mornings. And then you'll leave out that way that the marker is, and then you'll exit whichever way you'd like to go. All right, and next slide. All right, we've already kind of covered that parking, so next slide again. Lockers, this is very important. For the grades 10 through 12, we will give them lockers. For our freshmen, we will actually give them a lock. If they would like one, they can purchase their own at a store, or they can buy one of ours for $5. And if they do buy one from us, the lock is theirs to keep. Other than that, a lot of our ninth graders don't use a locker, but you're more than welcome to, and we will give you a space to use. Very important. This is something that I deal with mostly every day, and I want to be as transparent as possible with everybody listening to this recording. So whenever we're looking at discipline in the handbook, there are 3 different sections. You have a category 1, which is a classroom rule violation. This is any class rule like chewing gum, eating in class, sleeping in class, anything like that. We will have the consequences on the next slide, and the form will look like this. And what happens is the first one is a warning, and you should hear from the teacher. They'll call you and tell you what happened, and then they will just make sure that you're very aware of what just happened. The next time, they will have 3 days lunch detention, and then they'll have 5 days lunch detention, and then it'll be referred to me. So that's where we try to make sure that, you know, nothing goes from category 1 to category 2. But if it does, we do have other things that can get you straight to a category 2, which you guys can read this list real quick. But this is anything that is a little bit more, this is stuff that would be like profanity. This would be taking stuff, doing something on an extracurricular activity, horseplay, failure to identify yourself, just insubordination. And then the consequences are listed below on this one, which if on the D Hall, they get to the 4th one, it would end up being the first offense, which would be 3 days ISS. So we're on a step plan here where if it's your first time, it's 3 days ISS, then it goes to 5, then 10 days, then 3 days OSS, and then 5 days OSS. And once you get to that spot right there, all OSS is not going to be for, you cannot make that up, and you will lose credit on those days. And those will be unexcused absences. And like I mentioned before, once you get to 9 unexcused, you've lost all credits for that semester. So once you go to that 10 days OSS, that means that you will not get credit for any of your classes, even if you had all A's in all classes. All right. And then at the bottom of that one, I was a little quick on the slide there, but it does say that there's a FEMS possible. And what that is a Family and Needs Services Act, or Needs Service, sorry. And what that does is that gets the courts involved to let them know that this student and their family might need a little bit extra help. And that just will kind of get that ball rolling, and hopefully we don't have any of that. The last one is a category 3. The category 3s are anything that will take you straight to the 5 board members. You can read these here, but this is these are like threats, alcohol, possession of a handheld laser pointer, indecent exposure, vandalism, and all these have the exact same punishment, which will be 10 days OSS and recommend for expulsion. What that means is that you'll be out of school for 10 days. In that 10 days, we will have a meeting with the school board, and it will be the student, the parent, and then the 5 board members plus myself and the superintendent, and we'll discuss whether that student needs to be here for the remainder of the year. Something that we're trying to tackle every single day is vaping. I've made sure that this was a standalone category because this is very important. The students do not know how harmful it is to vape. And this is with any kind of tobacco product. So this is smoke or smokeless. So chewing tobacco fits under the same one. It's 5 days ISS the first time, 5 days OSS the next time, and then 10 days OSS, recommend for expulsion. Okay, so this is something that's very, very crucial to look at and know that this will not be tolerated. Other policies. So there's other policies that we have to worry about here. The buses usually will give a warning the first time, then it's a 1 week off the bus, and then the remainder of the year after that. Dress code, that's where the mask will come in. If a student is not wearing a mask, then it will be a dress code violation. If they have a mask on them, then it will be a corrective behavior. They get 2 of those before they spend time in ISS. If they do not have a mask after that, we will be sending them home. So that is a big point right there that we need to make sure that our students have a mask. And I would even make sure that they have an alternate one in their backpack just in case they might have forgotten one at home. So that they have it. On the first day, we will be giving out masks to students. You also have the tardy policy. Tardies, these usually do sneak up on us at the middle school. They do, I think, 3 tardies equals an absence. We do not do it that way. We actually end up doing it where the first 2 are free per semester. And then after that, you go to lunch detention. And then eventually you'll have ISS. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We have a fighting policy where it's the first one is 10 days ISS. That's if any punches are thrown, then that student will go to ISS. So if one student throws 5 punches and another one throws 10 punches, both of them will get the same 10 days ISS. If one of them throws 1 and one of them throws 3, both of them will get 10 days ISS. Do not throw a punch at Genoa Central High School. Do not get in a fight at Genoa Central High School. Student parking, we usually don't have too much trouble here, but if we have to, if someone's violating some of the rules, it'll be 1 week without driving, 1 month, and then the remainder of the year. Transparency is our overall goal. Just make sure that you know these different categories and the dress code, the new change on that one, and failing grades like Ms. Morton hit earlier. These students need to make sure that they're very aware that they can make really good grades and score high on the ACT and get more money down the road, which is a very important thing. I like to always put this in all my presentations. It's called My School Info. Right now, I believe that the state of Arkansas is updating this, but they will have it up and running before too long. You go to this website and it will give you the most accurate, up-to-date information of all Arkansas schools where you don't have to guess about anything, and it has all the numbers, and they are very accurate because we're the ones putting them in to the system. Cafeteria, we've already touched on this, but touch on it one more time. If you do bring something for your student here, make sure that it is only for them and that they are not sharing it. We do not want any food to be shared at all. So it's actually against the law. As you can see, there's a law at the bottom of that little memo. And remember that visitors cannot come and eat with their student this year unless something changes, and we will let y'all know. All right, next one. Expectations. I want you to know that we do hold all students to a high expectation, and we're hoping that you'll do the same. My goal is to make Genoa Central the best it can possibly be. Expect your child to learn. Expect them to be accountable. and expect students to do what is right. If we do that, we'll have a great year. If you have any questions, once again, you can call at 870-653-7523 or email me at Bradley, BRADLEY, .wright@dragons.k12.ar.us. Ms. Morton, do you have anything else?